Hey everyone, welcome to Life 24/7. Today we're going to talk about adoption, and we have Miss Shantina Shaw with us, and she's going to tell us her adoption story. You know, adoption is a great option. If you don't feel that parenting is for you, adoption is the way to go to give your baby a loving home. You can parent through adoption. So, Miss Shantina, tell us what brought you to adoption.
Verona, adoption came to my husband and I after we had two children biologically, and both of those boys were born with special needs. We lost the first one at 16 months old, and when we lost him, the doctors that talked with us about his problem said that it would never happen again. So we decided to have a second child, and when our second child was born, also a little boy, we had him to come into this world with special needs also. So when our second child was born with special needs, we decided that that we needed to end what we thought we were doing together. For some reason, it just was not meant. And I mean, I really talked with the Lord and thought, God, why are you telling me that I don't need kids? Because we always wanted 5.
Right.
But I had one of the physical therapists that treated my second son with physical therapy, and I voiced my opinion to her about, not thinking that I was supposed to be a mom, and she said, Shantina, have you ever thought that God may be using you, closing that door and using you to open a window to adoption?
That's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So I went home, told my husband, we started praying about it. And of course, he was ready right then, which is a little unusual. Most of the time, the ladies are ready, and he was the one that was ready. So we prayed about it, and God answered our prayers in a mighty way.
Yeah.
And that's how we chose to adopt.
Yeah, and so I know that you have 2 grown sons now from that adoption, and a beautiful daughter-in-law. All that's come about because you chose adoption, right?
Yes.
Your family grew that way. So your adoptions were in states, right? Like they're in the United States.
Correct.
So how was that? I mean, was the process hard? Did it do a lot? I mean, was it a physical, a mental, financial? I know for the girl that is making an adoption plan, it doesn't cost her anything, but for you, it's quite a sacrifice.
It is, and it was physically, and it was mentally, because we had to go through the home study, which is through the state, and they not only look at that couple that wants to adopt with their financial, but they also look physically. Are you physically fit to take care of a child up till the time they're able to take care of themselves?
Yeah.
And they look at spiritually also. So, and go back to the home study, we also have to be fingerprinted. They look criminal, into the criminal records. So, and that only lasts for 2 years.
Wow.
So our adoptions was 4 years apart. So we had to redo that.
So you had to go through all that twice.
Twice.
So this is not to be confused with foster care.
Not at all.
Right. So because here you are, you're getting fingerprinted, you're getting background checks. They know if you're like a criminal. So people that are making an adoption plan, they can be secure knowing that to the best of not only your ability and the agency's ability, but the government's ability, that these children are being placed in a loving, caring home with someone that wants them.
Absolutely. Someone that has prayed for them, someone that wants to add to their family, wants to give love and support to that child, a lifetime of love and taking care of that child.
So did your children know, if you don't mind me asking this, did your children know about their situation, why their parents chose adoption for them? Did they know that situation?
Yes. During our home study, we had a wonderful counselor that comes in and she talks to you over a period of time. But she told us, at the very beginning that we were to teach that child about that birth mother's love for them, because for that birth mother to make that sacrifice, to give up that child, to go into a new home, another mommy and daddy to raise them, that she loved them more than anything.
That's exactly right.
That she was very unselfish by doing that.
Yes.
The selfish ways is just thinking about me, and, maybe choosing the wrong way, which was abortion.
Right.
But these birth mothers wanted a loving home, a caring home, a home that could take care of them,
Yeah.
something that birth mother could not care for
Right.
and
Right.
do.
And so these children, they're not like your stepchildren. They're not like just somebody's neighbor's children. These are your babies, right? I mean, even though they're grown, they're your babies. They have been your babies from the moment you held them, right?
Absolutely.
And,
From the time we started praying for them.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to always tell them, that they might have grown in their birth mother's belly, but they grew in our hearts from the very beginning.
Yeah. So did you have a decision, like was you wanting a boys or girls, or did you have a preference, or were you just wanting a baby?
We were just wanting a baby. Now, adoptive parents can fill out a form that says, I only want a girl, or I only want a boy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I won't take one that's over 2 months old, or one that's over 8 years old.
Yeah.
But we filled out, it did not matter. We wanted what God had planned for us.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And so your boys have grown knowing that they are your children, but they have these birth mothers that love them so much. How do they as adults adjust to that? I mean, are they good with that?
Yes. Now, our oldest son, who's 27 now, he actually met his birth mother. When they turn 18, we give them that ability, and we support that.
So that was in the beginning. They let you decide, and the birth mother decide if she wanted that done. Is that correct? Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
And, going back to the birth mother has the choice of picking that family.
Yeah.
Now, our birth mothers picked us one way. The first birth mother was a high school young lady, and she was able to go into the adoption agency, open up a book that had so many families in there that was loving,
awesome.
that was wanting to adopt.
Yeah.
And so she picked through what we wrote out was a Dear Birth Mother letter that stated all about us and what we wanted to give a child. And what a blessing a child would be to us.
Yeah.
So that's how she picked us. And then our second birth mother was a young lady that already had a child, but did not have a daddy involved. And she wanted so badly for this second child to have a dad.
Oh, that's
so she
sweet.
knew right from the beginning that she wanted to place this child with a family that could provide a dad.
Yeah.
So, she went to her gynecologist, and the gynecologist then sent her to the adoption agency.
That's cool.
So, when she went to the adoption agency, he had all of our profiles and our requirements, all of our records that was passed, and that's how she picked us. But the boys, going back to the boys, yes, the 27-year-old met the birth mother. We was with him, and she said, I just want you to know that I couldn't give you what you needed at that time.
That's so sweet, right?
Very, very. So they do have a ongoing relationship. They talk not, every day, maybe not every month, but she knows where he's at and he knows where she's at.
That's sweet.
And then our second son has chose not to meet.
Yeah.
But now he's 23, and if he chooses to meet her at a later time, then that'll be great.
Right,
you
right.
know?
And that might change for him when he has children.
That's
he might want
right.
to do that. But it's good that he
Absolutely.
has that option.
Yes.
So I know that there's all kinds of new ways of doing adoption. There's open adoption, semi-closed, closed adoptions, and all those things. And that's really for the benefit of the mom to be able to decide what she feels like she can do. And that's amazing. I mean, adoption is such a great option. And so I know that your family, you and your husband, have blessed these boys. I mean, because we know them personally, they've so blessed to be in your home. If you could tell a young lady who might be trying to figure out, I know they're adoption's hard, parenting's hard, and abortion's hard. If you could tell them, one reason that adoption means so much more, because even at a young age, like you said, you had one that was in high school. She obviously couldn't give them what you and Brent could give them.
Right.
And not that she didn't love them. Like you said, they both loved them so
Mm-hmm.
much, but they were so unselfish. If you could talk to someone that was looking to make that decision, why would you tell them that adoption is such a good option?
Well, first of all, I would say that baby that is growing in their tummy, whether they planned it or whether they didn't, that God breathed life in that baby.
That's right.
And he has a plan for that baby.
Absolutely.
And he has a plan for that birth mother. He
Yes.
has a plan for that adoptive couple that desires to have a child in their home. And you know, there's couples that can't have children. We had biological children, but there's couples that can't have children,
Right.
and they desire to hold a baby, to love a baby, and to bring a baby up in this world. So I would tell that birth mother that not only, you know, is she giving that child a blessing,
Right.
but she is giving a couple a blessing that they can't have any other way.
Right. Right.
And that they are a answer to prayers.
Right.
And that God is using them in a very special way.
Yes.
You know, you mentioned that the boys are a blessing to be in our family, and we think of it just the opposite. We are so blessed to have our boys.
Right.
We are.
Yeah.
So, you know, I love to hear someone say that the boys are blessed to be in our family, but I look at it just the opposite. We
Yeah.
are so blessed that these birth mothers picked us.
Yeah.
And that we have our two boys.
Right, right. And because of that, you're probably going to have grandchildren one
Yes,
day and
yes,
things that you might not have
absolutely.
ever been able to have. So it
No.
just keeps going on. It reminds me in Psalms where the Bible says that children are a heritage.
Oh, yes.
You know, and so I'm like, that is true. And I know that you've raised your boys in a good, godly home, and they both know who Jesus is. And it's such a great thing because opposite of that, their lives might not have turned out that way.
That's true.
You know, we see a lot of children whose lives could have been so much better, you know, had someone made a better decision.
Right.
You know, not a selfish decision or not a
Right.
decision to, you know, out of fear or whatever. And we have girls that choose abortion that we really want them to know what adoption truly is because people are so confused on what adoption is. I hear it all the time, how they think it's the same as foster care or someone just keeping your kid. It's just not like that.
No.
You know, adoption
no.
isn't a permanent placement to be able to parent through adoption. And you're making the best choice for your baby at that time if you're not in a situation to give it what you know it needs.
That is so
you know.
true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Because I mean, they are my babies.
right,
You know,
absolutely.
they may have a birth mother, and if somebody says something, you know, like talking about their birth mother, and they say their mom, their other mom, and I'll say, no, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm mom.
Right.
Their birth mom, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, they have a very special place in our heart. And that's what we raise the boys knowing, that adoption is so special. I mean, I'm adopted by God.
Right.
So
absolutely.
we're all adopted.
Yes.
And our boys know without a doubt that their birth mother loved them so much to find them a home. And I mean, they picked us, you
Yeah.
know, it wasn't just that they gave the baby to the hospital and the hospital just placed the baby with someone. No,
Yeah.
they picked us. They knew our lifestyle. They knew about our other boys. And
They knew your religion.
They
They
knew
knew
my-
everything. Yeah, they
yes.
knew that you worshiped God, and they
Yes.
knew all of that.
That's
So
right.
That's good.
That's right.
Well, you know, I was telling someone the other day, making an adoption plan is like giving your kid two sets of people that love them so much. Can you
Yes.
imagine, like, instead of us thinking negatively towards adoption, like, oh, you gave your baby away, if we would think about, I made a life choice for my baby, and how much love that baby has, it's double love.
Yes.
You know, to be
Yes.
able to be in a home that has a mother and a dad that just wants the best for them and can provide for them, as opposed to maybe being a young girl that's scared and don't even have a car. Maybe she don't even know how to drive yet,
Right.
you know, or
Right.
whatever. And she still has so much life to live. And God, you know, is making maybe, like you said, the situation where there is a baby there to bless everyone, because we know that He has a plan and a purpose.
Yes.
Everyone has
everyone.
a life, you know, that He gives them life. And God is the only giver and taker of life, or should be in any situation.
Absolutely. He
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So could you tell us, like, just anything else that you would want us to know about adoption? That I know your heart is for it, and I know that you have a beautiful family because of it. Is there anything else that you would like for a birth mom to know that would ease her mind about putting her baby in adoption?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we prayed so long for babies. We wanted children in our home. We did have our oldest biological child that lived 10 years. And for the love that he also received
Mm-hmm.
by our other boys,
Yes.
you know, that made such a big difference in his life, as well as our two other boys.
Mm-hmm.
They learned about him, they learned about special needs, they learned about unconditional love. But I would go back to that birth mother and say, do you realize what you're giving a couple? You will never know till you get to heaven
Mm.
and you hear God tell you, well done.
Yeah.
Because for that couple to receive a baby that they couldn't physically have is the greatest thing, the most amazing thing that she could do.
Yeah, I bet. I bet just the moment they were placed in your arms, it was just,
Oh,
they were yours, right?
they were ours.
Oh,
They
so
were
sweet.
ours, and I can remember saying, you know, our first son, when he was placed in my arms, I told my husband, I said, this is why. This is why our other two children were born the way they were,
Mhm.
because God had a purpose for
Yeah.
us. And when we received our first son,
Yeah.
that was my thought.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shantina, for being here. Thank you for going through your abortion story, your adoption story with us. And for girls out there that are looking to do abortion, you know, I know this will be encouraging to know that adoption is not quite what they think it is, that it's so much more and it's so much better. I know a lot of our girls are scared that of the repercussions of having a child out there somewhere and nobody knowing about it. But like we said, there's so many different adoption options that you can be
Yes.
placed in a way that either you never see the baby, or it's an open adoption, or semi-closed, or whatever, you know, or like you
That's
said, your
right.
baby's got to see, if they wanted to meet at 18, they could, or
Mhm.
later.
Mhm.
So we just wanted to encourage you today that
Mhm.
adoption is a great option, and it is such a blessing, and believe it's part of God's plan.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
And if you
having
have
me.
any questions, you can contact Save a Life, and that's at 256-355-3828 in Decatur, and we would love to talk to you. You have a blessed day.